Welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. I am here with Wild Bill Ogden.
Hey, tell them to hold their applause till the end, Colin.
Yeah, hey, calm down, people. Jeez, he's going to be here for a while. You'll get your questions in. So, Bill, the worst question to ever start with, but it's informative.
Who's paying me?
Just kind of like a real short story for those who've never heard of you. Kind of give the bio of Wild Bill.
Bio of me, huh? Long story, very short. The only reason I bring up where I came from is because I can say Garth Brooks. I'm from Oklahoma, Enid. Went to college at Oklahoma State, where Garth Brooks came from. Was actually a track star at Oklahoma State.
Excuse me. That's God Brooks.
God Brooks, yes. God Brooks. And, Willie's was the big club that Garth, played at. And so we all thought we were hot playing on the Willie stage. And that was kind of my start. And that was tough for me because I didn't really want to play country music. But if you didn't play country music, you really didn't play anywhere. So definitely started with some Red Dirt background there. And that's a good way to learn how to write 3-chord songs. So, hey, moved to Austin after that. And with Amanda, my wife, who we both have played music together for, I don't know, 20 years now, I think. Moved here in 2004 and just grinded the out of the scene like you used to do. Played anywhere and everywhere that would have us. Red River was such a more important thing back then than it is now. People don't really realize that. And not to discredit all that, but it really was a different scene that had a lot more community. And I mean, the big money kind of kicks that out, and we don't need to talk about it. It just happened. But it was a really fun time to be alive, is my point. It was really fun to be a Red River rat back then. I landed in Flipnotics for a number of years after the rock and roll scene kind of dissipated, or what I called. I mean, it didn't really stop or anything. It just, wasn't quite the same on Red River for sure. I just got really bored. And I had a great residency was good for me to explore. And I just used kind of I was already doing theatrical kind of rock anyway, theatrical music. And I just really had fun playing in the coffee shops and creating characters. And from there, I spun out my very first musical. It was my Christmas musical, which is now 9 years old. Crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And just now finished a new musical, my second. Almost a decade later, the follow-up comes out. An Easter musical, which is, we'll see. I mean, we didn't get to do it this year so far. So we're hoping to do it when we get to gather again. We don't know when that will be. And then we're talking about doing a claymation version of it as well.
Nice. Oh, I'd love to see that. You kind of stopped at Flipnotics, but like, you've toured, Europe and toured internationally and all this stuff. Kind of tell me, like, how did you get there from, playing Red River, like being a Red River rat, being Flipnotics, like, how did you get to Europe? Like, what the hell happened there?
For me, a good answer to that question is it kind of goes back to an article I read a long time ago when I was younger. And it was Josh Logan from the Blind Pats talking about people asking him, like, how do you do the touring thing? You guys tour. How do you do that? And his best response, his answer was, you just do it. Like, what are you waiting for? You get in a car and you go do it. And I thought, you're either going to do it yourself or you're going to pay somebody else to do it. It's that simple. What really pushed me to do it was A, the want, and B, the having our stuff together enough to realize, like, hey, we can present to this country like we can present to the rest of Texas, like we can present to the rest of the U.S. Where do we really want to go?
Right. And that's kind of the moral of the story is once you have your together, then you can decide what you want to do with all of that. And it's all like I love the way you just do it. Like you just go, that's what I want. And then you go do that thing.
Yeah.
That's like, so that was the most recent one was last year. And I know you were planning on going this year, but obviously not now. So how you doing, man? With you know, now.
Other than losing all of my income and the tour and my Easter musical, pretty good. I'm doing fine. The good news is I'm a resilient roach, and live streaming is definitely my living room.
Right.
I've been doing the hustle. I have my bingo shows that I don't have anymore. I do those online, and that's been fun. Hustling up, scrounging for anything. I've covered the Bachelor shows, and I started my own talk show, the TGI Fun show.
Yeah.
And I started live streaming myself playing video games.
Yes. So let's talk about. So I want to hit all of those and Senior Loco. So before all this, you started the Patreon page, and kind of talk to me about that, and then get me into Senior Loco from there. Kind of.
I started the Patreon after the new year. I had finished my Christmas musical. It's really hard to do a show of that size and shape and keep it together in here and then not make any money. And then, it's a whole thing, just to go through it enough. So I'm always left at January kind of feeling like, what now? And like, hit the reset.
Wait, before we move on, like give me an idea, like how many people are involved in holidays and how much money is involved in holidays? Just kind of give a broad overview of like what the
Honky Tonk Holidays is a Christmas musical that I wrote. The musical itself involves about 20 people, including myself, in the actual production cast and crew. And then beyond that, we bring in other bands and musicians to play the events, and we also bring in other artists to do an artist market. So it gets into me managing 100 people easily. And as for dollar amount, if you look at, it's crazy because there's the dollar amount that we have, and then there's the amount if you consider the volunteers that go into it and the amount of time that we all donate into it. And if I went into those numbers, it's easily a $25,000 to $30,000 production.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Because like when you say like, oh, it's
making that much money,
yeah. But when you say, oh, it's such a big deal, it stresses me out. Like, no, it is a huge deal, and it stresses you out because it's 100 people and like probably more like 50K if you really added everything up, including your time and what you're actually worth. It'd probably be about 50K. Yeah, that's an ordeal. So anyway, so take me that. That ends, you're in January, you start Patreon.
Yes. And just to clarify, if you're out there wondering, how did he get $50,000 to do that? I didn't. We do all of that on about $5,000. So that's where we don't make any money. We do a $50,000 production on $5,000, and we split any money that we can between us, and we donate the rest to charity. That's what we've done every year. So this year, if you've been paying attention, the venues the scene is changing faster and faster. The real estate market is kind of driving that, if you ask me. And the venues are having a hard time keeping up with, rent like we all are and their expenses. And it kind of trickles down to us, unfortunately, as musicians. And I was sitting there thinking, what are my options anymore in Austin? Because I'm already doing most of my touring outside of the area, and I love Austin. I want to contribute here. What can I do? And it's kind of where I came back to writing another musical, because that's kind of the one thing I have going on that continues to grow and blossom, and I feel like Austin is actually embracing on the large scale. So I thought, well, now might be a good time for me to hunker down and instead of just kicking out another album. And it just came down to, you know what? I would have to put my life on hold for 3 months to get this thing together. And I decided to do that. So when I decided to do that, I said, well, my community that I've cultivated for the past 15, 16 years now here in Austin, and then everywhere we go when we tour, will support me. And I'm going to tell them I'm putting my stuff on hold. I'm going to write a new musical. Here's what I'm asking from you to support me to do that. Buy me a beer a month. Buy me a beer and a shot. My Patreon looks like that. Here are things that you would do if you saw me out at a bar. Just do that, and I won't be at the bars this next 3 months because I'm going to be working my butt off. And when I rolled into the Patreon, my biggest thing was community and accountability, because I knew I was going to have to draw from my people only. I knew that I need my community to support me. And they did, and it was awesome. So when my community came around, I thought, how am I going to show them that this money is being used for me and my art, not just on hookers and blow, which a little bit probably got spent on hookers and blow. Anyway, who can afford a hooker in this economy? Come on. I think we all are hookers in this economy. Anyway, what I came up with was one of my other ideas that I wanted to do anyway, which was Senior Loco, which is this little figure. It's kind of based on Mr. Bill, 70s and 80s Saturday Night Live era. And it's me walking around this town and getting dumped on in the music industry. And I do one of those every month just for my Patreon people. So that's their exclusive content. That's what we call it in the Patreon world. Exclusive content for supporting me. I give them an episode a month. And when the quarantine happened, we were kind of having a party once a month, and everybody got to see each other face to face and, intimate performance and all that. So Patreon's been good because it's another way to keep our tight community together. I can still get with them. We can do YouTube live stuff just privately. And they are also very supportive of all the new stuff I've got going on. So it's been really cool. And I hope to roll that onto other artists and get other artists kind of going on that path as well.
And that the great thing about that, and I hope we get back to that model more than like the 10% assume that the bar has a crowd. The bar assumes that you have a crowd, nobody's there, and the bar and the band don't make any money, which was kind of our scene for God knows how long. Like, I hope we go back to the cover model to where if you get a gig and you play this gig, you get all the door no matter what. And if nobody shows up, you don't get booked again. That was the way this used to work, right?
There's an easy way to gauge your demand or your draw or your booking power. And people ask me about this a lot. And I try not to, blow smoke up their ass, because that's usually my MO, is to not do that and just be straightforward. And it's this. Throw a house show, sell tickets. You might be surprised how good you do. And there you go. If you can make more money at a house show than you can make at a venue, you go tell that venue you're going to have to do better than that if you want me to get out of my house. Otherwise, I guess I'll just sell house shows and, wow, my house is better than your venue. Or maybe it's not, which in that case, the venues have value and you should play ball. But that's how you know your value. Here's how many people will come and pay me that I know. And hopefully you're a venue that has people that will come see music because they like music, and they will pay for people that they don't know or that you're actually promoting.
Right.
Show your audience, because you have an audience, venue. You have an audience, just like we have an audience. Imagine that.
Well, thank you, Bill, thank you for our continued text conversations and vent sessions. I'm very grateful to have someone I could just go to at any point. Oh my God, these people are so stupid, and have a logical conversation about it. And
they're just misguided. No one's stupid. We're misguided. We need to educate, love, and support your musicians. Give them some money. That means love and support. And guys, it sounds a little cruel, but really, and one thing I do want to say, a lot of people right now are asking what nonprofits to give to help musicians the most. Here's what I say. Find people who have Patreon, find people who have Venmo who are doing shows. Give the money directly to the artist. That's going to do the most help of anything else. Find the artist you like and support them directly.
Amen. Dude, thank you.
Thank you, Colin. This was a lot of fun.